Hi, welcome to my apartment. Come on in. Hi guys, it's been ages. I'm FA and I live in this 2-bedroom apartment with a ton of houseplants, my husband and 2 kids. I haven't done a tour of my apartment in several months now, I think since early last year. So I thought it'd be really fun today if I showed you all my plants and another thing that I get asked about a huge amount, which is the artwork. So today we're going to do a houseplant and art tour. Before I start, I think just to note that the lighting isn't very good in here today. It's massively overcast in New York today. It's been actually a bit of a miserable winter so far, and every day I keep thinking today's going to be the day when the light's going to be good and I'm going to be able to do the tour, but nope, still miserable, so I'm just going to do it anyway. But sit back, relax, grab a nice cup of tea, and welcome to my apartment. So because it's super dark in here at the moment, I'll probably just grab the plants and bring them to the light so you can actually get a good chance to see what they look like. But I will of course show you where everything lives so you can see for yourself. I used to have in excess of, I think, 100 plants in here, but that's all kind of gone by the wayside now. So, well, not all. I've been reducing the numbers slowly. I still have an insane amount, but not 100. I haven't actually counted yet, so I guess this will be the first time I figure out exactly how many there are in here. But anyway, let's get started. Let's go corner to corner. We'll start in the window. So this corner is one of my favorite spots in the apartment because the plants there are all quite succulent, and I'm not much of a succulent person actually. I don't have very many succulents at all, so the ones that I do have are very, very carefully chosen. Like everything in this corner I am absolutely obsessed with. So I'm going to show them to you one by one so you can see. And we'll start with probably one of my most asked about and talked about plants on this channel, my Donkeytail succulent. Burrow's tail, Donkeytail, call it what you want. So this is she. I'm not going to pull her out because anyone who has this plant will tell you that taking her out will just result in endless little bits and pieces dropping off of her. But I've had her now for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. 2 years. She was a lot smaller when I got her and she's grown massively. She actually used to live by the window, next, just above the heating/cooling unit. But as she grew longer and longer, it just wasn't practical. Every time we wanted to change the temperature, I had to lift it up, and then that meant losing a bunch of beans. And again, if you know, you know, but these are a pain when it comes to moving them. So I basically, after repotting her, I stuck her up here. And I haven't moved her since. I don't even take her out to water. I just water in place, which is probably a really bad idea. I hope the pot holds up. The pot is actually from CB2. You can't really see it. It's sort of this really beautiful gold burnished pot that CB2 had. They don't carry it anymore, unfortunately, but I was obsessed with it, and this is the perfect plant for it. But then again, you can't really see the pot anymore, so I'm not sure how clever that was. But anyway, that's my Burrow's tail. Absolutely stunning plant. It's in a very bright and sunny position, so it does do well where it is. However, I think that these love it when the sun hits the top. So it's a bit of a struggle in winter, just, it's not that bright. So it isn't as full on the top as it used to be. I also think because it's in the corner, I'm not as good as I used to be about dropping any beans that fall into the top so, they can sprout. I used to do that religiously, and that's what made it really full. And then next to the Burrow's tail lives my Hoya obovata. Okay, so this is the Hoya obovata. This is another plant that I bought. I actually got this from the exact same shop as the Burrow's tail. So if you live in New York, it's a really good plant shop. Like some of my best specimens have come from there. I like to buy them small and they grow up to be, pretty outstanding. This was my first ever Hoya. I'm not really a Hoya person, but this one grew so well for me. It's actually a little bit on the struggle bus at the moment because it desperately needs a repot. The current pot is too small, so I'm going to put it back. So I've just tried to shove it back, which of course resulted in losing a million beans from the burrow's tail. So annoying. There they both are. There's the Hoya obovata just in the corner there, and yeah, I need to repot it. Continuing in the same corner, next to the Hoya obovata is this guy. Needs no introduction. This is a burgundy rubber tree. Ficus. What are burgundy rubber trees called again? Ficus. I can't remember. Some ficus something something. This was tiny, very small plant, and it's growing pretty well. It was dormant for a long time, but then I started watering it in the shower, and that immediately kicked up the growth. I probably will separate this other one out, and it needs a repot. The roots are growing out the bottom, but otherwise doing well. This is a very easy plant, just does its thing. And then next to that is this Alocasia Frydek variegated. Now, it's losing a leaf. I need to chop this one off. This plant is in winter dormancy. See, this leaf is tiny. This is what happens to alocasias in the winter. It's gone a little bit quiet, but will probably pick up very soon. Usually when the days start to get a bit longer and warmer, they pick back up, so I'm sure it'll pick up pretty soon. It's still January, but the days are starting to get longer, so we should start to see some action from her. This one I've had, I don't remember, I tell the story of this one often, but I've had it for a long time, and we sort of go through what I like to call boom and bust. It grows and puts out a million pups and corms and gets massive, and then I separate them, get rid of the others, and keep this one. Sometimes it dies back to nothing, but sometimes it just, goes dormant like now. And yeah, it's doing all right. Come summer, I'm sure it'll be huge again. Now in the corner over here, I'm not going to pull it out, but this is a snake plant, and it is very old and very big, and I need to do something about it. Its leaves, actually, these leaves bend over, which I feel like I'm probably underwatering it, to be honest, and that's why that happens. I don't know. Who knows? Snake plant experts, please jump in the comments and let me know why these leaves bend over like this. Is it because I'm underwatering the plant? I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what happens with this guy. I've separated this thing a million times. I still like it. I question whether I'm just keeping it because I've had it for a long time, or because I genuinely want to have it, because it's just like, I'm not that fussed about it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it long term. And then there's this guy in the corner here. This is actually an Anthurium papillidanum crossed with something, I don't know, blue velvet or something. And as you can see, it's having a very, very hard time. I should honestly probably just chop most of these off. It's working on something new, which I have to hope will be better than whatever happened to these. I don't know what happened to this plant. It was fine, and it just went downhill. I must have done something wrong, and it just hasn't really recovered yet. Yeah, so here it is. And then over here, this is another snake plant. This is the starfish, Sansevieria boncel. It's the starfish snake plant. It's very, very easy going. It's a lot bigger than it used to be, actually, taking up a good amount of space now, but it's a cutie. I love it. another one that I bought a lot smaller, but it's been going fine. And then next to it is this guy. And of course you can't feel through the screen, but it has this soft velvety texture. It's a kalanchoe, and it's a feltbush plant. It just has this really, it's got this really nice feel to it. It's like very velvety, very soft. The leaves have this beautiful shape. They look like, almost like a bird. A baby bird is opening up to get food from its mother. And then in the last two plants in this corner, this cactus, some kind of, I really don't know what this cactus is called, something mammillaria, whatever, I don't know, but it's one of the ones that doesn't like to stand straight. My husband got it for me when it was like super tiny, and it's just been doing its thing here ever since. And this next to it is a dwarf samurai snake plant. It's a dwarf samurai snake plant. It's the cutest snake plant ever. It's really tiny. Actually, let me pull it out and show you properly. See? It's the dwarf samurai snake plant. It's got these little ruffles, these little pink ruffles, and the new leaves come in from the center here. This thing grows slow. It grows slowly. I think it's been years. I'll show you, I'll put up a picture of what it used to look like, and it still looks quite similar. It has definitely grown. I think these 1, 2, 3, 4 are all like, that's how much it's grown in, like, I think in the last year and change. So 4 leaves in like a year and a half or something. So yeah, it's very slow, but it is growing. It's too cute for words. I love it. I'm sorry it's so dark in here, but I kind of like the vibes, right? Moody vibes. So you've seen the plants in this corner. We'll come to the first piece of art. It's not art, obviously, it's my TV. This is a TCL television. It's not a Samsung frame. It's like a cheapity cheap TCL TV. And I just buy art from from various Etsy sellers, the art that's designed to work with a Samsung frame TV. And I use the Google screensaver app to put the art on the TV, and boom, Bob's your uncle. So that's what that is behind me. And this one's not my favorite. I actually really don't care for this one at all, but my kids chose it and I let them. So yeah, that's what's behind me. That's the art. And then we've got the plants that sit here underneath the television, and this tends to change quite a lot. So as they grow taller, I just remove them or move them somewhere else in the apartment, make room for them. We'll go from right to left, I guess. And so the first one, this guy. So this is an Alocasia heterophylla, dragon's breath. Now this is actually, this was a pup that I took off of my main plant. It was just, I took it off of the main plant because it was getting too big, and I popped it into this naked root planter, which it obviously loves because it immediately went haywire and just like, yeah, it's just growing like mad. And I don't know if you can see, but even on the surface there are all these corms, which I haven't covered because, come on, I really don't need more growth. There are already 1, 2, 3. There are 4 shoots in here, and this is the pup, not the mother plant. So yeah, it's the location where I have it is probably too bright. As you can see, it's sort of, the leaves are bending. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard that when it does that, it's to try to limit the amount of light that it's getting. I could be wrong. Alocasias are funny. They love light, but then sometimes some varieties it's too much. So I haven't quite landed on where I'm going to keep this one long term, especially as it gets bigger. I will definitely have to move it because it's going to block the TV at some point, and my husband doesn't like that. But for now, it just sits right by the television. And then next to it, I have what is probably one of my greatest embarrassments as a plant parent. This. So this is an Epipremnum marble, variegata. I bought this the longest time ago, and I was supposed to put it on a moss pole and didn't. And look at this. It's dropped all these leaves in that time and grown. You know, it's still growing fine, but this just shows you how long it's been since I was supposed to put this on a moss pole. And it's put out a couple of extra shoots down there since then. I am going to put it on a moss pole this weekend, but yeah, look at it's really a disgrace, this one. When I care for it properly like I should, it's going to be a plant of outstanding beauty. I don't know where I'm gonna keep it, but it's gonna be really cool. And then behind them we have another pretty neglected plant, Begonia Black Magic. This one sits all the way in that corner. It's dry. I keep forgetting to water it, and it does need a lot of water. I'm actually overdue to repot this plant, so I'll be doing that soon. If I was caring for it properly, honestly, it would be massive by now. This is just like a very, very, very easy plant. Like, highly recommend this actually for beginners. So simple. I'm actually super frustrated by how dark it is, because I feel like you're not really seeing the correct colors of the plants. It's just completely gloomy, overcast, raining. It's really annoying. So I think I'm gonna pause the tour and pick it up again tomorrow afternoon in the hopes that it will be brighter. And we're back. The light is so much better today, thank goodness. So yeah, we move. The begonia from yesterday again, so that you can see the colors in brighter light. Begonia Black Magic. Isn't she pretty? And look at the backs. Look at how fiery red the backs are. Absolutely insane. Stunning plant. I'm gonna be giving this a repot soon, and maybe staking these up a bit more so they can actually reach their full potential, because you know, right now there's only so much they can do with the support I've given them. But yeah, things are going well for this guy. Next up is, this is my Alocasia Watsoniana dark form. I haven't worked out the proper location for this plant yet. It has these purple backs, which tells me that it doesn't want as much light as I've given it. But then when I had it further away, it wasn't growing at all. So I'm not 100% sure on exactly where it should be just yet, but I'll figure it out soon enough. It's due for a new pot. See, the roots are growing out the bottom. I was holding off until the weather got warmer because I thought it will come out of dormancy when it gets warmer, but it's putting out a new leaf, so I think it's ready. Once this leaf comes out, once it's done growing, I'm going to repot it into something, definitely into something bigger. It wants more space, something taller. I've wanted this guy for the longest time, and I can't wait till it gets big, huge. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Lord knows where I'll put it when it gets huge, but I still can't wait. And now we're moving over to this side of things, where we have this guy. This is my Alocasia poly. I bought it as a variegated poly, but as you can see, it's just green now, not a hint of variegation. I do not know what I did wrong or what happened. Maybe it'll throw some variegated leaves again one day. I'm just gonna leave it. This was also dormant, although dishwasher's making a ton of noise. I'm not sure why. One second. As I was saying, this was also dormant, but look, there's a new leaf coming, and I think it's because the days are getting longer again. I do not know whether this is going to be variegated or not. So variegation watch for this one. Who knows? But the plant itself seems fine. You know, it's doing okay. And then this guy, this, ooh, this needs a repot big time. Okay. This is a baby Philodendron Spiritus Sancti. I don't know, it had like some weird blight or something, but it seems to be doing all right now. This is the newest leaf, and even though it's smaller than the others, it looks much healthier. So I think it's okay. It's working on another leaf here, but I need to repot it, and I think I'm gonna just get it on a moss pole. I have the best success with climbing philodendrons when I put them on a moss pole sooner rather than later. So when I repot this guy, I think it's going straight on a moss pole. The question mark then becomes, where in the living room am I going to, am I going to put it? I don't know. Let's cross that bridge when we get there. Now, back here we have the first of 3 Queen Anthurium hybrids that I'm semi-obsessed with. This is an Anthurium Warocqueanum crossed with Anthurium besseii. So it's a hybrid of the Queen Anthurium and the besseii. Now, this has been through all sorts of stuff, but I think it's adjusting okay. Remember, both besseii and Queen Anthurium prefer good humidity, moist conditions. It takes a little bit of acclimating when you bring it into a very, very dry environment like this apartment, but it can be done. So even though these leaves look a little beat up, it's actually adjusting fine. I think that this newest leaf that it's working on is going to be, is going to be bigger. And because this is a hybrid, and because besseii and the Queen Anthurium do get quite big leaves, I'm so interested to see what this looks like as it matures. I think it's going to have quite big, long leaves. So it'll be really interesting to figure out where exactly in the midst of all this I'm going to place it. But for now, it sits here, back here. And it's the perfect foil for this guy. This, we all know quite well. This is my Oxalis Triangularis. This Oxalis... This Oxalis goes through so much in this house. Like, if you look at if you look at the video I posted right before this, you'll see how pathetic this thing looked. And within a few days of just proper watering, and here it is, it's bounced right back. This is a fairly indestructible plant, honestly. When you think you've destroyed it, just water it and it will probably come running right back. It is, it's a weed, isn't it, basically? It's so easygoing. I just like having it amongst all the green because I think it provides the perfect pop of color. The other thing I like about this is it's the perfect size of plant to have under the TV because it grows out and not up. So there's nothing more satisfying than watching these open and close at random over here. So I think I will always keep some form of this guy around. I just think it's a nice little way to brighten up and punch through all the green. From an art perspective, I have 2 pieces over here. So there is this one. This is a hand-carved sculpture from, where did I get this? This is actually from Lekki Market in Lagos. I got it on a trip. I think it was in 2022. I got this. I just liked it. There's no particular reason behind it. I really like wood carved pieces, and I just thought this one was super cute. There's this one. Now I've had this one I don't know how long ago, for quite a long time. I got this from a store called The Cornrow. It's based in the UK, and I don't know, it just spoke to me. I just really liked it. There's no rhyme or reason, but I just liked her shape, and I thought she was really, cute. The Cornrow has a lot of African and Caribbean inspired items, you know, home decor, books, goods. It's a really, really cool store. I know they ship, I'm not sure if they still ship to the US. I think they do. Because how else did I get it here? Yeah. I definitely bought it online. So check them out. It's really, really interesting, actually. They've got lots and lots of cool items, lots of information about architecture, African art. Just very interesting, you know, a very cool store. And then the third piece of art over here is up top there. Over here is this monkey is some sort of hammered steel. It's actually, I do not know where it's from. My mother-in-law gave it to us. She's an artist, and she from time to time will give us just these really interesting pieces, and this is one of them. And now we come to the part of the apartment that you're all used to seeing so much. There are so many plants in there. I'm not sure if it's practical for me to show them to you here where they are without moving them. I feel like you don't see them properly. So I'm going to pull them out one by one and lift them up so that you can actually see them, you know. Okay, first up, this guy. This is an Anthurium Warocqueanum Esmeralda. So I got this from Equagenera. This is what it used to look like. I guess people call it the green or the lighter Queen Anthurium. It's supposedly the same plant, but just a different variation. To be honest, to me, they look nothing alike. I don't know, but this one is reasonably easygoing, I must say. It takes a beating. I think it's easier than the regular queen, or at least more forgiving. The care is basically the same as the regular Queen Anthurium. Lots of fertilizer, lots of water, and like, you know, moderate light. When you have them in decent light, they cope better with all the other variables that might not be right. So I just try to keep the light sensible, and then it's just a lot easier to adjust for all the other things when you know the light is okay. So this is this guy. It has some dry bits, but you know, we've just come through a very, very cold and dry January, and I don't think February is going to be much better. So it's to be expected. Next we have, this is another Alocasia heterophylla, dragon's breath. This is actually my mother plant, and you can tell because her leaves are big and gorgeous. Well, she's not actually the mother plant. The original mother plant left us long ago, but the alocasias, you just keep replanting the corms and they grow back. So this is her. This plant is so thirsty. Look, it's super dry. I need to water it. It's just very thirsty. I water it all the time and it's immediately thirsty. These probably just belong in self-watering pots is the easiest way because you're just watering them all the time. But other than that, yeah, this plant is this is probably the easiest alocasia out there. I highly recommend it. Very, very prolific. All it does is sprout pups constantly. So that's something to watch out for. You end up with God knows how many of these. But it's so easy care. It's so gorgeous. So gorgeous. Absolutely worth it. I better go water it though. Next is, this is a big favorite of mine. I adore this plant. This is Philodendron Spiritus Sancti crossed with Patriciae. This is just a very, very chill plant, by the way. It feels more like Patriciae, I think, than Spiritus Sancti. Like the leaves are thinner than Spiritus Sancti, but it's still quite a young plant, so I don't know. We'll have to see what it looks like as the leaves mature. I think it doesn't have as much in the way of ripples as Patriciae, and it looks like it's more, you know, more lobed because of the Spiritus Sancti aspect of it, but we'll see. I don't know. It's working on a new leaf right now. I'm hoping for a big one. I recommend this plant. It's so easygoing. It's just very, very chill. No problems whatsoever. And then this plant is a bit of a disgrace, but it's my fault. You know, I'm very, very neglectful. This is a Philodendron glorious. And instead of the leaves getting bigger like they should, They're getting smaller because I haven't done the right thing. I haven't extended the moss pole. I'm not really, you know, it's just, it's been neglected, but I am going to do better. I'm trying to do better. I think I've finally resolved some of the spider mites issues that were plaguing us. These are very quick to get spider mites, by the way, but whatever. It's also very prolific, so you can just keep chopping the horrible leaves. And it's doing well. It's doing a lot better than it was. I'm going to be extending the moss pole probably next week. I have a lot of moss pole extensions to do, but this is at the top of the list for sure because it desperately needs it. And yeah, we'll see where this guy goes in 2025. I am hoping for big things, you know, because I know what it's capable of. So if I can be diligent and be on top of it, you should be seeing a stunner in place of this really average looking plant. Next, this is another philodendron. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember what this is. Oh no, this is Philodendron asplundii. That's right, asplundii. I'm not really sold on this plant. I don't know. I'm not taking the best care of it, for sure, but it just strikes me as average. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one. This might be one of the ones that I weed out of my collection because it just doesn't really do anything for me. I think it's so boring. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. It might not survive my what's the word? I'm culling the plants that don't bring me joy. And right now, I'm not really loving this one. So this might end up biting the dust. Okay. This is a big favorite, right? Like a big, big favorite. Look at this girl. Every time I show this Anthurium luxurians, people ask me what I did to get it so big. And honestly, nothing. Like this used to live in my bedroom in a very low light area, and it started hitting the tiny grow light at the top, so it's got a little bit of residual damage from that. But then I brought it out into the living room and it put up this massive, ridiculously huge leaf, which I guess is because it was getting more light out here and, you know, good airflow. It's working on a new leaf right now as we speak, so I don't know if that one's going to be big or not. I'm crossing my fingers and toes. I have high hopes. I have high hopes for you. So hopefully the next leaf will be nice and big too, huh? But yeah, this is one of my absolute favorites. Like this is my, what plant do you save if you have no choice but to leave most of the others behind? This is one of them. I don't know, there's something about it. I just love it. Next up is this guy. This is Philodendron majestic. I'm on a downward trend with philodendrons. I've been reducing them. I'm not as into them as I used to be, but I am obsessed with this one. Sadly, I haven't extended this moss pole. This is another victim. And so I don't know if you can see, but it's growing. Here's the back of the plant. It's grown far beyond. I should have extended it. And if I do it now, there's no point. It'll basically be already at the top of the new pole. So I'm thinking that I'm probably just going to clip it to this and then let it climb back up again. So it will have this weird loop in the middle. But once it gets to the top of this again, then I will extend the pole and the leaves can continue hopefully to size up, because if you notice, this leaf was a good size, nice and big. And then I didn't extend the pole, and the next one is like the same size. Not really smaller. Oh wait, no, this is the next one. The next one is like a tiny bit smaller, but basically the same size because I didn't extend. If I extended, I think they would have continued to get bigger and bigger, because look how small the bottom one is and look how quickly it got nice and big. So it's putting out a new leaf right now. This one looks to be a good size, probably because it's facing upwards again. And I'm going to deal with it next week, along with all my other moss pole emergencies, as I call them. I have a lot of moss poles that need attention here. But this one, still pretty, no? I've heard that as these grow bigger, they lose the markings. So if that starts to happen, I'll just chop it and start again, because I think the color is just divine. I'm just putting them behind me as I show you because they need a shower or a water. So I might as well, like, since I've pulled them out, I might as well take the chance and just water them. This is one of my Anthurium Zara X Michelle Dock Block Anthuriums. I have two of these. The other one's in the bedroom. And this one was in the bedroom also, like on my shelf. I pulled it out recently to put it out here. And it's going through a bit of an adjustment period. It needs probably a repot. I mean, the roots are crazy. But I don't want to set it back. So I might just try to see if I can get away with a pot extension first before I even bother with a repot. It's pretty dry. It needs water. This is another plant that is just very, very easy to care for. These used to be very difficult to get your hands on, but I know you can find Dock Block Anthuriums at Home Depot, I think it is now. Anthurium Michelle. This is Zara crossed with Michelle, so it's a little bit different, but if you're not really fast. I haven't seen them in my Home Depot, but I've seen people all over social media with them, so I think totally worth getting. These are really, really pretty. They just have this really distinctive color compared to some of my other anthuriums, like absolute beauty. And then this sad looking bad boy is my only and remaining, not anthurium, Philodendron gloriosum. So like I said, I'm a bit off philodendrons now. I don't know. I just don't like them like I used to. I used to have quite a few of these, or, you know, because I had chopped one up into several, but I've decided to just only keep this one. These leaves are a little bit sad. They were struggling with mites, but we're done with the spider mites now, and it's doing a lot better. It's working on a new leaf right here, and I think this one's going to be nice and big and pretty. I also put it in a different location in my apartment, and I think it's finally really, really happy. Gloriosum doesn't really like too much light. This is a good low light, not, you know, lower light plant. This is a good choice for that. So yeah, I think as long as it continues to not take up too much space, I guess I'll keep it. But I'm not that fussed one way or the other. I used to be obsessed with these plants. Gloriosum, I thought it was the be-all and end-all, and now I'm just kind of like, eh. But, you know, who knows? Maybe the new leaf will have me fall in love again. And this... This is the star of the show. Usually I would probably save this guy for the last, but, you know, I thought, why not give you a treat early on in the video. This is my Queen Anthurium. I've had this plant since it was a tiny one-leaf seedling, maybe 2 leaves. I got it. It was literally this tiny, and it's grown into this big bad boy. It's a little beat because this is its first winter outside of the grow tent. You know what that means in New York City. It's just dry. We get really, really dry winters, so it's a little bit of a struggle for this poor guy, bless it. But it seems to be holding up okay, all things considered. I think it could look a lot worse than this, to be honest. So I think all the leaves it's been putting out are a lot hardier now. I think it will be, by summer, it'll be nice and adapted to the conditions out here. So we'll see. Can't wait to see what the next set of leaves looks like. The thing about growing this plant outside the grow tent is it's just very, very thirsty. You basically can't overwater it. You just have to keep watering it constantly. If I was watering this every day, it wouldn't mind. So I think in an ideal world, I would give this a shower every day. It would probably be really happy with that and would really do very well. But I have too many plants, I think, to shower them all every day. And this is Anthurium papillilaninum. This is another one that I pulled out of the grow tent, and it's doing okay. Okay, not perfect. This leaf is perfect. But then this one got spider mites and was, you know, not so perfect. I think we're past the mites now. I think it's doing a lot better. I probably need to up the water factor and give it a pot extender just to support all the big growth. But for the most part, it's okay. If it wasn't for the spider mites, I do think this would have been a really lovely leaf situation. This is also not a difficult plant, to be honest. It's just I've been a little bit neglectful. I'm rectifying it now, but you can definitely tell that it hasn't had optimal care. Otherwise, they're doing really well. Again, winter has not been the kindest to these guys because the humidity does stay around the 20s in here in the winter. But yeah, they're okay. Everything adapts to low humidity eventually. This is another anthurium, because of course, this is my anthurium green magnificum verde. This plant is just so strange to me. It's got a beautiful root system, just doing all kinds of stuff. But then the leaves are just, I don't know, janky. This is another one that probably would prefer a self-watering pot or something, and it may not have as much light as it would like where it is right now. I don't know, we'll see. I'm just gonna wait and see how it does when summer comes, because I feel like winter, I don't like to change too much, Winter with these guys is just about survival, to be honest. So when summer comes, if it's not doing much better, then I'll make an assessment. It's probably time to chop off at least this one and see what it's working with. Yeah, this is my Mag Verde. It's not pretty, but it's surviving. And last but not least, from that great anthurium pile is this guy. This is Anthurium Besseyi F crossed with crystallinum. This is one of my favorite hybrids, actually. This is another one that I'm truly obsessed with. It has not done terribly this winter, but it hasn't done wonderfully either. I think it's a little bit underwatered, if I'm being honest. I repotted it at some point into this massive pot, so it's basically spending all its time growing, all the roots in. So it'll probably be a while before we see any action from it, but it has potential to be a real banger, doesn't it? And that's all the anthuriums in that corner, so I'll just show you what else I have over there. This is my big boy Monstera Deliciosa. I'm not gonna pull it out because I just can't face the thought of putting it back in, but this Monstera is probably one of the first plants I got. It's been here for ages. There were initially 4 plants in the pot. I separated it and then ended up with 2 in the pot, but that was still too much. So a few months ago, I cut one of them down. Honestly, I'm toying with the idea of getting rid of this plant. Let me tell you why. It's just continues to grow off the pole, which is what, Monsteras, this is what they do. It's just a very, very obnoxious plant in terms of its growth habits. And I just don't have the space in my apartment. No matter how much I try to shift it to get it to play ball, it just spreads and takes over all the light and blocks everything else. Which for me is kind of okay, enough already. Enough is enough. And I think it's time to let it go. I don't know how long it will be here for. I'm not sure when I'm going to remove it. But my thinking is that when I get the Gloriosum to look the way I want it to, and some of these other big ones, once they start growing a little bit taller and they're filling out their moss poles a bit more, I will remove this one and just have more, more vertical stuff. Like this Spiritus Sancti ex Patriciae, I think could look really nice in this space, just growing upwards. So that's what I'm thinking for now, that one belongs where the Monstera is. And maybe some of the anthuriums, like the Queen Anthurium hybrids and things like that, could go in that space, in that space as well. I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about it. Either way, this guy by the summer, sometime in the summer, I'll be getting rid of this big boy Monstera. So stay tuned, because I'm happy to let it go to a home of someone who's gonna love it as much as I have. And then all the way in the corner back here, but you can't see her, is my Philodendron micans, overshadowed by Monstera, but she's here. on this tall pole just doing her thing. I would pull it out to show you, but like, no. And now we're gonna do the plants that live in the back of the room. So we have this guy. This is Anthurium radicans ex luxurians. This is, again, a very, very, just an easygoing plant, isn't it? It just does what you tell it, and it just sits there and eats its food and grows. Very, very good, easy, hardy plant. I like to call it a snake plant in anthurium form because it just sits there. I can go ages without watering it. It does fine. Super good boy. And then I have this oddball. This plant is so wonderfully wacky and weird. It's a cross between Anthurium clarinervium and Anthurium forgetii. And obviously you can see because of the shape, the closed sinus, that it has forgetii. But what probably doesn't come across on camera, but the leaves are much thicker than your average forgetii. They're kind of cardboard-like, which is the clarinervium. But that just means that they grow sort of, the shape is really odd. It just does this sort of, it's got this alien mask type vibes. This here is a result of underwatering because even though it's cardboard-like, like a clarinervium, is very, very thirsty, like a forgetii. So yeah, I can't water it enough. And look at the root system. Completely crazy. This pot is full of roots, so it does need probably yet another repot, but I actually don't have a bigger clear pot to give it yet. My supplier is out, so it's gonna have to wait. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this guy. And next we have this sad little story. This is a hybrid of Anthurium Warocqueanum and Nigrolaminum GG, and it has just struggled really since I got it. It used to have a few leaves. They're all gone now, and it's just sat there. I don't know. It's got a tiny bit of green, so I always say where there's green, there's still hope, but yeah, I don't know if this one's going to be okay or not. Watch this space. And then there's this. This is actually a king of spades. This is one that basically struggled, and I cut it back, repotted it. It's pushing out new roots, so I think it's going to be okay. These leaves, it grew, I had it propagating in water, so it regrew these leaves. That's why they're so tiny and weird looking, because it grew in water with no nutrients. But it's doing a lot better. It's working, I think, on a new leaf and on an inflorescence. So I have high hopes for this guy. Let's see what the new leaves come in like. And then back on the other side, we have this Anthurium crystallinum. Everyone knows that I've struggled with crystallinum for ages. I'm happy to report that I'm finally a crystallinum girly because this one is doing so much better. So yay for me. I also have this one. This is Papililaninum crossed with Ace of Spades. It's a one-leafer at the moment, but what a one-leafer, right? Like a real, look at it. I chopped off the other leaves because they had these yellowing bits, and I've come to the realization that when I don't like the way things are looking, I'm just going to chop it. I used to not want to chop and be like, oh, blah, 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 but actually, just chop it. It does so much better. So that's this guy. I have so many plants that it's just impossible to do a plant tour in winter before it gets dark and show you them all. So sorry, you're just going to have to deal. This is okay. Jeez. This is my silver dollar vine, Xerosicius dangui. Needs water. Silver dollar vine. This guy is ridiculous. It needs, I don't know, a new pot, a new trellis. Like, I have so much work to do on this. I've just been putting it off because I haven't figured out what the solution is, but I'm gonna try. Maybe this weekend I'll attempt to tame it. I don't know. I love how it's growing trailing, but it's not really practical because it sits on the heating unit in the apartment. And so, of course, in winter, it struggles. So I have to come up with a solution. It seems unlikely that I can continue to grow it down just like this. A trellis is in your future, my friend. Next to that, I have the second Hoya of the house. Hoya curtisii, I think this is, right? This plant is so average to me. I do not know if I'm keeping this, to be honest. I don't really care about it. I'm thinking about potentially using it to fill out space in my bedroom. I'm undecided. This one is really disgraceful. This is another Hoya, but this is my fault. I haven't potted it up, and it is Hoya benguetensis. It is suffering. I don't know if I'm keeping this one. It's crazy. I need to pot it. I might try to pot it. I'll try to pot it tomorrow. Next to that is another Hoya. This is another one that I didn't pot for ages, but then when I did, I potted it into this naked root planter, and it immediately popped out this fat, juicy leaf. So I think it likes it. See, it's very, very, you can't probably tell because the light's crappy again, but it's proper sun stressed. It's like red. And I think I'm going to be madly in love with this plant. Look, it even has, look at this. There's a peduncle right there. So I think it really likes this naked root planter. And I think that might be the answer for me for growing Hoyas. So I'll probably maybe try to pot that one in whatever self-watering I can find. I don't know, but this one's cute, no? Next to that is my Monstera Thai constellation. Ugh. Honestly, I do not know about this plant. Like, I love it, but it suffered some damage in the summer and has never quite bounced back. I'm also really regretting not putting it on a moss pole because the crawling thing is just not for me in here. It just takes up way too much space. So I'm probably going to air layer it, I think, and then plant what I get on a moss pole. I think that's my next plan of action, to chop it, air layer it, chop it, and then put it on a moss pole because I need this to grow up, not out. Very ridiculous plant. There are just a lot of plants in the corner here. It might be easier if I just roughly show them, so I have to pull every single one out. But back here, this is my Philodendron Splendid. It's doing all right. Very neglected. It's just, it's doing its best, just trucking along. Okay, this is Anthurium Warocqueanum crossed with Waterberryanum. It's in dormancy, so it looks trash, but I think come summer, she's going to be one to be reckoned with, so watch out for this girl. Next to her this is an Anthurium red crystallinum crossed with luxurians. This plant is absolutely a banger. Really, really stunning. I repotted it recently, so it's working basically on on roots non-stop, but it looks good. Look at it. Just one leaf for now, but the roots look good. With anthuriums, as long as the roots look good, I don't care what the plant's doing. And then down here, I have like Epipremnum albo variegata. It's a little bit neglected, but it's hanging in there. This is Philodendron biliaceae. I get so many comments on this plant. People are like, I've never seen a billy this tall. This is not Atabapoense. This is billy, and it is tall because it basically was in a location without good light. So it got, etiolated, stretched. And then now that it has good light, it's stopped climbing like crazy, and everything here is really very, very tight internodal spacing like any other billy, which is hilarious. So it just looks nuts. This is another plant that, as much as I like it, I don't know if I'm going to keep it because it's kind of top heavy and weird now. So I'm definitely going to chop it, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it because I just think billy is very big for the space. It's just not what I'm tired of. I'm bored. I don't. So not sure about this one. And then we have my Anthurium clarinervium all the way in the corner. So this one used to be a lot bigger, actually, like a lot bigger, but it had all kinds of struggles, so I had to chop it. Look, this one is still looking weird. But yeah, I had to chop it because it just wasn't growing properly. Took it out of my bedroom and brought it out here, and it's growing a lot more nicely, so I'm a lot happier with it. It seems to be doing well. This actually is probably the piece that I get the most questions about. This is, I bought this from an artist in Lagos in Nigeria called Precious Oshiole. And I don't know, I saw it and it spoke to me. I knew I had to have it. I also really love the idea of, like, you know, a very monochromatic, save for these dramatic splashes of red, like the deep grays against my back gray wall, I thought would look quite nice, and it does, right? So yeah, I love this painting. It's one of my favorites in the whole apartment. There's not a lot more to say about it. I will link the Instagram of the artist if you want to check out his work. But yeah, I like to try to buy things everywhere I go, you know, from different countries when I remember. In the corner, all the way over there, there's a fish that is basically the sibling to the monkey that I showed earlier in the video. That's from my mother-in-law. Now, this painting is the first painting I ever bought. I bought it from a local artist here in New York called Eduardo Añevas. I basically walked into his studio and saw it. Honestly, it just reminded me of, I don't know, it just spoke vibrance and life into me. And so I bought it and haven't regretted it. It's just been, I wake up in the morning, come into the living room, and this is the first thing I see, and I absolutely adore it. Okay, yet again, the light has gone. Well, I could show you the rest of it, but I don't want to. I want it to be shown in perfect light. So, boom. I will continue the tour tomorrow in the morning when the light is good. This is what happens when you have too many plants. It's just difficult to get them all in and doing the plants and the art. Tomorrow we'll pick up where we left off and I'll show you everything else. So after stopping the plant tour yesterday, I figured a better use of my time was to wash my hair. So, you know, here we are, straight. Anyway, let's continue. Last night, I was showing you the painting from the local artist, Eduardo Añevas. Here it is again in better light. I guess the light looks about the same, but there it is anyway. And then right below it on this couch is this cushion I got from Morocco. Yeah, from Marrakesh last year. Usually when I go somewhere, I try to pick up something, a sculpture, a piece of art, you name it. Anyway, this is one of the bits I brought back from Marrakesh. If I'm being honest, it doesn't really go in my living room, but I don't mind this pop of color. I don't know, it makes me feel warm inside. So this bookshelf is a little bit of a mishmash. Don't judge me, lots of odds and ends. There is one plant up top, and there are some little random art pieces to go through. I'll show you the art pieces first, and then I'll finish with the plant on top. So this little jade elephant is from Thailand, I think. It's from Chiang Rai. I got it on my honeymoon all the way back in 2011. So it's my not quite 14-year-old honeymoon jade elephant, and it just goes with us from house to house. And I just think it's really cute. And then there's this, this is a baby talking drum. It was actually part of a keychain. This is also from Lagos, from Nigeria. Belongs to one of the kids, but I like to keep it here. And then this is a little jar I got from Marrakesh. I keep my loose leaf tea. I'm just crazy for tea, obsessed with tea. Anyway, smells divine. These are a couple of sculptures that actually a cousin gave to me when I went to Nigeria. I do not know. I mean, they're obviously women kneeling, and are they dancing? What are they doing? They're putting their arms together. I don't know, but I like them very much. And then over here we have, it's a game called, that we call Ayu in Nigeria, and it's played all over the world, basically Mancala. It's one of my favorite pieces. I don't have a coffee table at the moment, but if I did, it would be right out there alongside, a plant and the coffee table books, because I think it would be the perfect conversation starter. Just all the way up top there is a golden pothos, which, listen, we've talked about how I feel about pothos. Can't stand them, so I'm not going to spend much time on this guy. I actually think it looks quite good. There used to be another plant on the other side of it, but I got rid of it, and now there's just this one. So I sort of need to rearrange the top up there. The piece of art is done by a Seattle-based artist off of a photograph of the family. I'll put the photograph up so you can compare and see, but my best friend sent it to me and I love it. I think it's adorable. There's a lot more art in here than I realized. Doing this actually makes me feel pretty good, makes me not take it for granted. This is kind of nice. Okay, so there are some more plants in that corner. Instead of pulling them out, because that's a massive pain, I'll just show you and tell you what they are, and then probably take the camera in a little bit closer for a spin. So that is my Ficus umbellata. Everybody has heard all about my Ficus umbellata on this channel. I was actually planning to get rid of it, but the kids and my husband seem to think that it deserves a second chance. They're all obsessed with it. So I guess it's staying for now. I need to figure out what to do in this corner though, because it's all a bit messy. Next to it is my Ficus orderi. The Ficus orderi has been on a journey. It's sitting next to a toaster oven, so the leaves are getting burned and crisped, and I keep saying, I'm going to move it, I'm going to sort it. Haven't done it yet, but I will. I'm actually moving the Ficus orderi to the bedroom, and so I need to make space for it in there, move some things around so that I can actually properly move it, and then, you'll see. And then on the floor, next to Ficus orderi is a philodendron. I can never remember what this plant is called. I'll put the name on the screen, but it's got these trilobes, and as much as I love it, it was growing off the pole. So I propagated it, I chopped it, and it's going well. I'll show you the roots of the propagation. As you can see, things are looking pretty good. I think it might be time to actually pot her up properly. So I'm going to be doing that this weekend, giving her a pot of her own. I mean, look, isn't she so cute? I think she's adorable. Beautiful plant. Once I pot those up, I'm going to put them all on that one pole, and it's just going to be a giant monster pole with, it's going to be a big philodendron pole over there. You can't really see it. Everything is blocked by all the plants. I'll take you in a little bit closer. There's a painting right here. This was done by my mother-in-law when she was a teenager living in Taiwan. Yeah, we have a lot of her art, and you can see over the years how she's evolved as an artist, and it varies depending on where she's living. But this is one of my favorite pieces of hers. Sorry, the light is reflecting, so you can't really see it clearly, but I love this piece. And like I said, she did this when she was living in Taiwan. She also loves to paint the kids a lot, like one of her favorite things to do. So she did this painting of the kids. We were in one of the state parks on the Connecticut shoreline, and she took a picture, and then she did this watercolor painting of them. This little area is kind of crazy, but I'll show you anyway. So this corner is where I rehabilitate plants that are doing okay, but need a little bit of, they need a little grow light TLC. So this is an Anthurium. This is an Anthurium magnificum ex Frigetii. I have 4 of these, and they all look completely different. This one desperately needs a pot extender or a new pot so that it can kind of, settle in properly. But it's got lots of amazing roots and it's doing quite well. It just needs some support up here so it can, so it can be the best it can be. This baby luxurians is one that has struggled and struggled forever. I propagated it in water and it did okay. And I've since transferred it to soil and it is, I don't know, I hope it makes it. It seems all right, but I don't see the new roots yet. So I don't know. With a propagation, transfer to soil, honestly, I don't call it successful until I see, you know, the roots starting to hit the side of the pot. And that hasn't happened yet with this guy. I don't know why, but this is this one. Now, before we go into the bedroom to continue the tour, I just wanted to show you two more plants. These two are in my grow tent, which is tucked away in the back of my kids' playroom, which we'll let remain private because, you know, they're kids. This is what now remains of my Anthurium regale ex luxurians. This is what this plant used to look like. Beautiful, big, bold, and in charge. And then last summer when I went on holiday, it was one of the ones that suffered greatly. And I've been rehabilitating it ever since. I basically ended up having to chop everything off. I was left with just the chunk, which I put in this bag of tree fern fiber. And even though it took a while to take off and start growing properly, when it did, oh boy. So it grew these roots, just sitting there in its bag of tree fern. And this was the first leaf it put out. And it's now put out this one. I mean, how great is this, right? This is crazy. So I will be potting this up very soon. I will probably keep it in pure tree fern for a bit just to let the roots really go, you know, really go crazy. And then once the weather gets a bit warmer and it's more humid out here, I will bring it out into the living room. Look at how perfect the back is. Look at this. It's gorgeous, right? I love Lux hybrids. They're just the perfect plant, honestly. And then this is the other one, my Anthurium Warocqueanum. And this plant, I recently had to chop off all its leaves, but I gave it a moss pole. And I'll be honest, it seems to be loving life here in the grow tent. So here is it. Look, it's grown roots into the pole very quickly. And it seems really happy in this high humidity environment. So I'm just waiting for the newest leaf so I can chop these ugly ones off. It lives here with this one, with the Regale ex luxurians. Now I'll take you to the bedroom. Now I realized that I passed over some of the art, especially the stuff in the hallway. These are my daughter's paintings. She's 12 and she loves art, loves to paint, so this is some of her work, and we put the pieces that she has finished but maybe is not 100% happy with, we just leave them there in the hallway. And then right above that, these are some more of my mother-in-law's pieces. These are all New England landscapes. Now, like I said, her art tends to be informed by where she is at that moment in her life, and right now she lives in New England and she loves watercolor, so that's basically what the bulk of these pieces are. Another favorite piece of mine, taken by the photographer Jide Alocasia. He is Nigerian but based in New York. And this piece in the hallway is a print. I cannot actually remember where I got it, to be honest, but it really does brighten up the place. It's a little bit dark in the back recesses of the bedroom. It's not the best lighting, so what I thought would be good for this portion of the video is if I just grab the plants, bring them to you here so you can actually see them properly, instead of taking the camera all over the bedroom. But yeah, let's get started. I have no idea how many are in here, but there's a bunch. First up, my Anthurium veitchii. This is, I grew this one from a tiny two-leaf plant, and she's doing so well in here. This plant was actually growing really slowly for quite a long time, but then I moved it to be by the window, and once I did that, it just took off like that. Now that I have it by the window, it's just doing really well, growing like crazy. It is getting very obnoxious in terms of the spread. And I haven't really decided what I'm going to do to control the leaves. I'm just enjoying the size for now. So this is the latest one. I tried using these stakes, but they're useless. They're not strong enough to hold it. I probably have to put something stronger back there and try to pull it together a bit more, just for some semblance of order. So yeah, this is the Anthurium veitchii. Beautiful, right? And then behind the veitchii, this is a snake plant. This is actually an offshoot of my living room snake plant. I broke off a tiny piece when I was repotting that one and stuck it in this pot, and here it is. It's doing really well, but honestly, I don't know. This is probably one that I have to think about when I do my reshuffling in here, because it's kind of redundant having two snake plants, for me anyway. And then back here is my Anthurium Zara Ex Michel. I'll pull it out so you can see it better. So this is Anthurium Zara Ex Michel, the Dock Block Anthurium. This is the second one. You already saw the first one in the living room. This is probably one of my favorite plants. I know. This actually used to be on the shelf all the way in the back, but it just wasn't getting enough space or light or anything that it needed to really flourish. It was just looking very average compared to the one that's now in the living room. So I pulled it away from there and brought it here for a bit more light, and it seems to be doing really well, thriving. It was repotted not that long ago, so it's still sort of settling into this new pot. It hasn't got, let me see if I can see any roots. There are some new roots, but it's still, it's still settling in. It's working on it. So I don't expect too much from this guy in the way of leaves anytime soon. Up at the top of my husband's bookcase is my Scindapsus exotica. You can see from the curled leaves that it actually desperately needs water. I should water it. Now over here we have this corner. Again, the light's not the best here, but I could take these to the front of the room, but I'm not going to bother. I'll just show them here. This is an Anthurium longistrosum. This one has been through some things. I'm contemplating getting rid of this plant, or at least chopping it, because it's long and leggy and it just needs that. This is Anthurium Bessii Af. I'm having the hardest time with this guy at the moment, to be honest. It needs, I don't know what it needs. It's just not very happy. So I need to figure something out. And someone bumped into it and ripped this leaf in half. But even if they hadn't, it just doesn't look its best, and I don't know, not entirely sure what to do to help her. And then behind here, this is an Anthurium. This is another one of those Magnificum ex Forgetii. This one is, I don't know what happened to these leaves or why they look like this, but the root system is healthy. It does need a repot, which I should be doing soon. And it's got a brand new leaf. It's got a brand new leaf on the way. I'm hoping that, against hope, that the new leaf will be nice. Down all the way at the bottom, this is a Pothos Pearls and Jade. Now we all know I just don't like pothos. This one's probably the exception to the rule. I like it well enough, but it's still quite neglected. This used to be in the living room, and I was planning to get rid of it. I brought it into the bedroom just to hang out while I figured out the compost situation, and then just never took it out. So it's still here. I haven't got rid of it yet. Okay, next up will be the plants on this end of the room. Before I show them to you, I'll show you the art. And then after you see the art, I'll just bring the plants to the window. Over there, you really can't see it very well, but that is a photograph taken by an artist friend of mine. And then up top here is another painting. This is also by my mother-in-law. This is one that she did in Taiwan. And as you can see, the style is very different from the New England landscapes that she does now. And this, possibly one of my favorite pieces in the house, and I wish I had the light to do it justice in here. It's painted on velvet by an artist from Nigeria. I got it from the artist studio when I was on a trip to Lagos. And it's kind of, the velvet, it's not easy to see the velvet because it's in the frame, but it's actually really, really beautifully done. One of my favorite pieces in the entire place. So yeah, that's this one. I'm gonna show you all the plants on my plant shelf back there. Get comfy. This is gonna take a while. Okay, so we'll start from the back and work our way forward. So this is an Anthurium Clarinervium X Pedatum. Clarinervium X Pedatum. So it came as a teeny weeny seedling from Green Escape, and it does have that cardboard thing that tells you that it's got Clarinervium. And then this leaf kind of has these indents that tells you that there's something, you know, the pedatum. I don't know what it's going to continue to look like because this is the newest leaf. It's got a very, I think, very Clarinervium shape, but it's too new to tell. Back there, the lighting situation is very poor. I need to get sort of spotlights so that these can have enough light. I am also underwatering them, and you'll see that this kind of dried out / melted. It looked a lot nicer before I went and underwatered it, but it's on the mend, doing better, and it has really nice roots growing in. They're like nice and green, so I do think that once I sort the lighting situation back there, this has the potential to be quite a really interesting Anthurium to look at, quite different from a lot of the other velvets in the house. And next to it is this one. Now, I've been going around telling people that this is Anthurium bomboicens because that's what I thought it was. Let me tell you the story. I had a beautiful Anthurium bomboicens. It sort of died back, I don't know what happened, and I had a stump. At the same time, I had an Anthurium blue velvet cross the dark magnificum, like a really, really incredibly stunning plant that just perished. I put the stumps of both of them in some tree fern, and only one sprouted, which I thought, judging by where I put it, I thought what sprouted was the bomboicens. As it grew out, it had tiny silver markings on the first couple of leaves, and I was like, huh, that's weird, because bomboicens is just plain, you know, it's like shimmery. It's not one with these silver type markings. But not for a second did I think that it was the blue velvet crossed with dark magnificum. And I have just been talking about this plant and calling it bomboicens, thinking that eventually the silver would fade and it would look like a true bomboicens. But I have now been forced to admit that no, this is definitely not bomboicens, and this looks exactly like the sort of blue velvet X dark magnificum that had died back. It's back and it's strong. It's doing really well. These leaves are gorgeous. If I had the ideal sort of lighting situation in that location, I think that this will turn into a true showstopper, because I'm really impressed by just how pretty these leaves are. And they're like really, really dark, but like really, really, this is so beautiful. So if I can figure something out to help this to size up properly how it wants to and to look nice, like if I can sort out the lighting situation back there, I think this will be this will be one to beat. I mean, it's gonna look incredible, no? Sorry, how cute is this? I hope this plant makes it, because I don't really know what its care is like, but this is a teeny weeny Hoya linearis. How adorable is this? Yep, as I was saying, this is the cutest little Hoya linearis. This is from the Green Escape on Etsy, and yeah, hopefully it'll grow to be long and gorgeous. I got it because I feel like my plant shelf needed some filler plants. It's a little sparse. It's actually starting to put up tiny little bits of new growth. So cute, so cute. And this one, this used to be stunning, but then I neglected it and this leaf melted, unfortunately. This is supposedly this is Anthurium pallidiflorum crossed with Forgetii. I didn't think that cross was possible, so I don't know how sure I am about this, but it does have the closed sinus that you get from Forgetii. I don't know what would make this a pallidiflorum cross. I don't see any evidence of pally traits, but then, you know, I don't know what I'm looking for. I should probably get rid of this leaf that's now ugly, but I don't know. So yeah, this one is another one that's just in that space where they just need more light, and the conditions there are not ideal, so it's looking a little trash, but I think it can be rescued with a bit more light and a bit more love. Now on that same shelf is this one that I bought. It's called Anthurium Velvet Moira. I have to admit I have no idea what Velvet Moira is. It looks to be some kind of Papillilaninum hybrid, but I'm not sure exactly what. All I know is that it's obvious that it's really hardy, really easy to care for. It's very, very basic in my opinion. Sorry, it's kind of a basic plant. It's not really, this isn't one that I look at and think, ooh, I love this plant. I feel like I just kind of have it because I have it. I must have bought it to round out an order. So yeah, I'm not that fussed about this guy, to be honest. But it's all right. Anthurium Velvet Moira. On the shelf below Velvet Moira is my little gold dust jewel orchid. This is my baby. She's doing all right. She's doing all right. Putting up new leaves, still tiny, but like, you know, she's hanging in there. The humidity in here is super low, so she's probably not gonna like be her best self until maybe the summer or something, I think. But she is pretty and she's growing new leaves. And what more can I ask? Let's be honest. She's adorable. This is one of, I think, 3 Forgetii I have, all in various states of disrepair. They all look horrendous. This one, obviously, just looking, I think it's looking for more light. I think that all my problems on that plant shelf are caused by poor light. And once I fix the light, the leaves probably will do a lot better. It's either looking for more light or less light. I don't know. And it definitely wants more water than I typically give it, but it seems to be all right. It's got its first inflorescence, so maybe things are looking up back there. Who knows? And then we have this one. This is probably one of my favorite plants. I know I don't show this very much. This is an Anthurium Saronii. It's another one of those pendant ones, but it's a little one, right? Very short leaves, but they're just so, to me, these are deluxe leaves. There's just something about them. They're just so juicy, like the most delectable of plants. I'm obsessed with this thing. I think it's a banger. It's proper stunning. Absolutely lovely. Yeah, I love this guy. Anthurium Saronii. It's really, really easy care actually, but it does want a lot of water. It's currently putting up 2 pups, which is so cool because I've had it for a really long time. And I think it could probably do with a repot. I think it maybe does not care for this particular pot that much, but it is really established and settled, and it's just throwing new growth. We're all happy, so I'm kind of reluctant to change anything. I'm nervous to make any changes because it's doing so well. I don't really see people with this one. I love this guy. This is an Anthurium Wendlingeri. I just got it. It's still a BB, still tiny, very little. My gosh, this plant is so easygoing. It just sits there and eats its food. I do need to, I think, like repot it or top up the soil I have it in. I think it's definitely staying a bit too dry, but like it's just, it doesn't complain. Very easygoing. What I don't like is that I can't see the roots, and for me, when that happens, that means I haven't done a good job. It's not that happy. It's not as happy as I want it to be. So, but because it's such an easygoing plant, it doesn't care. It's just sitting there on the shelf with very poor lighting, just doing its thing. It's so easy to care for. get a Wendlinger right there. So easygoing. So yeah, this is her. She's still little. This time next year when I do another plant tour, I bet she's massive. And in keeping with my stream of loving strappy anthuriums, this is an Anthurium Frydek Stahlii. I don't even know if I can get the whole thing in the picture. Another strappy one. I've been growing this one for a couple of years now, so it's, you know, it's well accustomed to my space. It's got these like really nice kind of leathery-ish leaves, and they're kind of that oily, dark green that almost has a bluish tint to it. Absolutely stunning plant. It is pretty thirsty, but also pretty easygoing. Yeah. You can never go wrong with a strappy anthurium, in my opinion. Unless it's Viterifolium, those annoy me. And then this is another Anthurium magnificum crossed with Forgetii. Because it's not getting enough light, the leaves are pretty tiny. And they're just getting smaller and smaller, so I do need to fix the light situation. But I think it's quite a cutie. And then on the shelf below it is this Anthurium Forgetii, which I call the ultimate comeback kid, because this thing has died back and regrown so many times. But it's got good roots. It seems quite happy. It's doing well. If it had more light, I think it would be happier. But that being said, it's a recent repot, so it's just working on, you know, sorting out its root system. It's getting its act together. And then we have these two sad fellows. This is an Anthurium villanorum that has been desperate for a repot for ages, and I haven't repotted it, even though this pot is completely maxed out. So I'm going to be rehabbing this tomorrow, or maybe even later tonight. It's contrary to, this is a very easy Anthurium. It only looks like this because I've treated it terribly. So yeah, I need to do the right thing and sort it out and stop being so bad. So I'm going to take care of this later on today. The thing is, I go to do these chores, but then I want to film them, so I put them off. This is an Anthurium podophyllum that I haven't potted up since I got it. This is another one that just desperately needs a new pot. Suffering, poor babe. I'm going to be repotting this one too. I'm going to be doing all these this weekend. If not tomorrow, this weekend. This is an Anthurium longissimilobum. This one I'm about to move to a different location, and it needs a moss pole. It's actually a climber, so I'm going to put it on a moss pole and then change its location, and hopefully it will be happier. And this is Ludicia discolor, beautiful little jewel orchid. I just repotted it and it's loving life. Loving life. Look at those blooms. It's got lots of baby little leaves coming up. This is quite a prolific plant. In the time that I've had it, it's just popping new growth like nothing. Never had it very long. I also got this one from the Green Escape on Etsy, and I've been quite happy with it. This one is an Ecuagenera import. I've had it for a long time. I'm just neglecting it. This one is also a jewel orchid, Ludicia discolor nigricans. It's the black jewel orchid, but I think it got exposed to too much light because its leaves are looking a little bit stressed, sun stressed and bleached. So I've moved it to a darker corner. Hopefully it will be happier. This is Anthurium Viterifolium. I actually just hate this plant. So I'm sorry, I don't have too many good things to say about this. I like pendant anthuriums, but I just don't like this one. Sorry. They're just better. I think it's just okay. But maybe it's me. Maybe if I cared for it differently, I would like it more. But for right now, it's not doing it for me. And this is the last of my bajillion Forgetii, and as you can see, it doesn't even have one pristine leaf. They're all kind of somehow not quite happy. I think it just needs a lot more water than I give it. I don't know. I find Forgetii to be so fussy, but I think they're so pretty, so I keep trying. I'm just going to keep trying. And this is a Begonia comoris. I love this plant. It's so happy and easygoing. I do need to repot it because it's basically crawling out the pot. So I'm going to be doing that soon. But like, how beautiful is this guy? So pretty. And then there is this absolute mess of a plant. This is my Philodendron Spiritus, and it is just, this is why I hate plants that crawl, or maybe it's supposed to be a climber and I have it potted up as a crawler, who knows. Either way, like, look at this, horrible. So I have to figure out what I'm doing with it. I did want to just chop it and like interplant it, is that what they call it? Kind of make this more full. I don't want another moss pole in here because that's just too much hassle. I will never remember. But yeah, I don't know. The plant's just all over the place, to be honest. I have to figure out what I'm doing with it. It's one of the few philodendrons that I have left. I don't have that many. It's mostly anthuriums in here now. Anyway, this is Plowmanii. And then on the shelf below Plowmanii, we have this guy. This is my Anthurium King of Spades. This latest leaf doesn't look so hot, but these are its siblings. It needs a bit of a refresh at this point. This guy, I think I need to chop some of the old leaves a little bit and just kind of rejuvenate it. But look at the root system, it's crazy. Total beast of a plant. It's grown all through here, all through its pot extender. It's just like, yeah, she's old. So she probably could do with a nice big fresh pot and some loose soil, and she can just, start doing her thing again. But either way, I probably would end up having to chop her soon, no matter what. Still, I love her. This is another Anthurium Forgetii hybrid. Can you tell I love Forgetii hybrids? This plant just has these chocolate, dark, gorgeous velvety vibes that I love. It's one of my favorites. This is Forgetii X Magnificum. So where some of those other ones that look horrible are Magnificum X Forgetii, this is the reverse cross of that. It's Forgetii X Magnificum, and I just prefer it so much. I think it's so pretty. It's actually about to get a repot. It's a bit of an unruly one, but I don't mind. It's got 2 inflows at the moment. And yeah, she's really happy. I should be trimming off this old leaf really, but yeah, it's doing really well. Last but not least, it's the Lord of the Manor, my Anthurium Pallidiflorum. I don't even think you can see it properly. I'm gonna go all the way to the back of the room and show you what this really looks like. Anthurium Pallidiflorum. I'm obsessed with this plant, I'm sorry. It's just like the leaves are just velvety, they're just luscious, they just drape. This is the newest leaf actually, where is it? This is the newest one, it's still growing. It is so soft, it's crazy. This one is old, but it's still just juicy and beautiful. Just the most gorgeous plant. I can't recommend this plant enough. It's so easygoing, so beautiful, makes such a dramatic statement. Absolutely love it. Guys, we've come to the end. We've finally come to the end. I feel like I always say I'm going to do a houseplant tour. It takes ages. It's always dark by the time I'm done, but finally, I finally did it. Yes, it took 2 days, but who cares? Who's counting? Anyway, I think I'm going to do another one in the spring as soon as the weather gets better and the days get a bit longer. You'll get to see everything in all its glory. But I hope you enjoyed it. I will be doing lots of different projects on all the plants around here, and honestly lots of different projects on the rest of the apartment itself, so stick around if you want to see what changes. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments what plants you enjoyed, what you liked seeing the most, what you wish you saw more of. And I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the art as well. I feel like I didn't really do it justice, but it's only my first time. And yeah, until next time, I guess. I'll see you.